Welcome to the Clean Slate with your hosts, Daniel Garza and Carson Phillips, providing you with movie news, reviews, and more. Sit back, relax, and don't forget to go to the concessions to get your popcorn and drinks. For your entertainment, this is the Clean Slate Podcast.
Welcome back to the Clean Slate Podcast. I'm your host, Carson Phillips, here with Daniel Garza. And today, Daniel's going to be presenting, a little story time. Previously, we did a real versus real for, I don't know which real is which in speaking, but you guys get the idea. For the film Psycho, we talked about the true story behind that. And so Daniel ended up picking out this 1960s film, Boston Strangler. I think it came out 4 years after the actual
it was really
case.
Quick.
Super recent. So for them, like when you hear, like my dad's always like, oh, they're making that movie too soon. Well, they made it too soon back then, I would say. But yeah, so he's gonna be presenting, this unique, interesting movie and the true story behind it. And we appreciate you guys. So comment, subscribe. We're trying out some new content, and get yourself an icy and get locked and loaded, baby. Get strangling.
Cool. All right, well, like Carson said, we are doing the Boston Strangler in real versus real. So here is the log line real quick on it. A series of strangulation murders of Boston women sparks a protracted, complex manhunt. Law professor John Bottomley leads a multi-jurisdictional task force in the investigation with the help from surviving victim Diane Clooney. So that's probably, I think they made longer log lines back in the day because that was a mouthful.
It's like super long.
So guys, this is a movie based on the actual Boston Strangler, known as the Boston Strangler. His name is Albert DeSalvo. He is
My boy.
Jeez. He is most known for the murders between 1962 and 1964 of 13 women in the Boston area, and between June and January of those times, in the ages between 19 to 85, which is kind of insane.
Crazy roster on that guy.
Yeah, so we got a lot to get through. We're going to talk about his upbringing, more of the like actual murders, his confession, and what led to like the discovery of it, because he technically wasn't like found guilty until he was in prison, which is really interesting. And then we're going to obviously compare it to the 1968 film. This movie actually did just get another remake in 2023 on Hulu.
Yeah, it's a different adaptation, I believe.
Yeah, and that one stars Natalie Portman. This one actually stars you've seen him come across our movies before as Tony Curtis. He plays Albert DeSalvo. He was in Some Like It Hot.
He's great in this.
Yeah, he was really good. Anyway, so let's get into a little bit of the backstory of Albert DeSalvo. He was born in September 3rd, 1931 in Chelsea, Massachusetts. Grew up in a violent and abusive household. After running away from home, joined the U.S. Army at 17, serving in a post-World War II Europe. He did have a criminal background. He was known for burglary and petty crimes in early life, and in the late 1950s became infamous as the measuring man, tricking women into letting him measure their bodies under the pretense of recruiting models.
That's insane. Yeah. I'm going to try that with my wife.
Well, that's crazy. There's like a lot of different things like that. Like, and I know you hate this movie, and I don't love it either, but in the movie Sound of Freedom, it just came to my head. Like, they do, they lure these kids into
children
to thinking models, like they're going to be models or actors, and they get abducted. So also common. He
That's crazy.
Obviously escalated to violent SA, later known as the Green Man crimes, due to the green work clothes he wore while attacking women in their homes. Kind of a weird fact there. So let's get into like what Albert DeSalvo was mostly known for. So murder of 13 women. We already kind of covered that. The victims were typically SA'd and strangled, often with their own clothing, and that is pretty depicted in the movie.
This movie's very graphic in that sense.
Many crime scenes showed no forced entry, suggested the killer was trusted or posed as maintenance worker or authority figure. The final victim, Mary Sullivan, was found on January 4th, 1964, with a Happy New Year card left nearby. She was only 19 years old. Pretty shocking. Okay.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So let's talk about, before we kind of get into more on the investigation and breakthroughs.
Like the proof of whether or not he's guilty.
Let's talk about the film for a second.
Okay.
So I would say there is a lot of inaccuracies just at the get-go of this film. However, when we take this movie, there's a lot of actual critics that say that this movie is just like very loosely based on Albert DeSalvo's life. Like, obviously it's going to be a movie. They have to rush some things, right? They couldn't wait for him to be in prison for the confession and everything like that. However, in terms of the movie, the likes that I have are kind of like the editing style. I think you and I talked about it.
Oh, it's fantastic.
It is. I would
Can
say.
I explain this?
Yeah. I would just say it's probably one of the most unique editing styles that I've seen from a 60s movie before.
Yeah. Yeah, this has been done recently. Something unique they end up doing in this film is they put like screens within screens. So like if Daniel and I were split screen right now, but at the same time there would be like another screen of like my TV in the background seeing what's going on there, all on the screen at once. So you're getting like multiple angles often, or like further into the scene, like that imagery all at the same time. Kind of like 24, if you've seen that show. They do a similar thing. Or the 2003 Hulk movie, where it has like, it's almost like comic book panels. That's kind of what this movie does, but it feels really nice the way they do it. It doesn't feel tacky. And it makes it feel almost documentary-like in some ways, especially like when you get into the meticulous nature of like the killings and the investigation. It's awesome. The editing and everything is fantastic there.
Yeah. I agree. So with that being said, I don't know if I would say there are flaws with this movie. Like, right, I think the movie is weirdly paced. I kind of mentioned this to you before I like finished watching it, is that it's really like slow in the beginning, it gets really intense in the middle, but slow in the middle at the same time, and then it really slows down to kind of what we said earlier is like a character study. Now let's talk about the investigation of Albert DeSalvo. So police initially struggled to connect the murders due to the difference in victim profiles and methods. The case caused widespread public fear, women took extreme safety measures, and locksmiths were swamped with requests for extra security. Two reporters, Loretta McLaughlin and Gene Cole of the Boston Record-American, were the first to publicly link the murders and coined the nickname Boston Strangler. Their work highlighted both the media's role and gender biases, as female journalists were often dismissed by police and male editors. Pretty interesting there, because there is a role that the news plays in this film. They're like in paper, and then even on the TV, like there was even like a big uproar when it was like his first woman of color who was murdered, and now they're like, well, now no one's safe, which was kind of
his like MO keeps changing from like older white women to a black woman who's younger, or I think as young as 18, right? So like his MO in real life and in the film is all over the place. It's really kind of scary.
Yeah, exactly. So then going back to now his confession and controversy, he was arrested in 1964 for unrelated sexual assaults and robberies, confessed to a fellow inmate, George Nassar, that he was the Boston Strangler, later gave detailed accounts to police, though his confessions included crime scene details not released to the public. No physical evidence linked him to the murders. He was never tried for the stranglings. Instead, in 1967, he was convicted of the Green Man assaults and sentenced to life in prison. Many investigators believe he fabricated or exaggerated his involvement to gain fame to protect Nassar, who had helped him craft a confession for a book deal.
Interesting.
Pretty interesting there. And then in 2013,
I think he was killed in prison, right?
Yeah. So
okay.
Yeah, that's
so like
that. We got that coming. So in 2013, the DNA. No, it's fine.
Spoiler.
I'm just spoiler alert. In 2013, the DNA from DeSalvo exhumed remains.
Yeah, it's exhumed.
Was matched to bodily fluids found on Mary Sullivan's body. This was considered conclusive proof that DeSalvo murdered Sullivan. Whether he was responsible for all 13 murders remains debated due to his inconsistencies across the cases. So
he at least did one murder.
At least one. So on November 25th, 1973, so about 11 years later from when he was, I guess 9 years later, when he was arrested, DeSalvo was stabbed to death in an infirmary at the Walpole State Prison. His murder remains unsolved, likely connected to gang disputes or his notoriety.
Kind of like Epstein.
Exactly.
Interesting. So he might have been able to see this movie. That's crazy.
Yeah, that is really crazy.
Gross. It's kind of gross.
So now here are the theories and ongoing debate of this real story. So there's some experts believe that there were multiple killers, citing differences in the victims' age range, race, lifestyle, and murder methods, strangulation versus stabbing. Others maintain that DeSalvo was a serial opportunist capable of varying his approach. Regardless, his name remains inseparable from the Boston Strangler legend. So it's pretty interesting. Now, if we...
Well, I know...
Okay, go ahead.
I was going to say, I might be skipping to where you are, but I know the end of the film, they kind of push this DID, or dissociative identity disorder, or it used to be called like split personality. That's no longer an accurate description of that. But the end of the movie pushes that whole angle, right? And I think it seems like that might not have been the case.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like that was at all. Like he has there's that whole scene where he, like, his wife and his daughter come in to see him, and then it's like really he almost kind of like separates himself, almost kind of like the Bates Motel show. Remember, like when he would black out, he didn't know what was happening, but he like started grabbing her
He literally
neck and
disassociates and can see himself.
Exactly.
Crazy.
So it's really weird. It's interesting how the movie did that. I think it's it almost kind of like like if we take the theory that he was an opportunist, like a serial opportunist, like, right, it's almost like that wasn't good enough for the film, so they almost made it to seem like he had something going on, and they really do push it. They're like, well, if the hospital sees that there's something wrong with you, they're going to keep you here, and they're not going to like send you to prison type of deal.
Well, kind of similar to Psycho, which we covered, is slightly inspired by a true story where they also come up with a split personality story angle, which also just wasn't the case. So it seems like, Hollywood at the time probably just liked that concept.
Right. Yeah, could be. So now what the film gets right in this, I will say, is that the DeSalvo's confession as a Boston Strangler, suggesting he admitted to guilt to authorities as in reality. And then the movie follows police investigators piecing together clues and interrogating suspects, reflecting the real investigative process. And that's about it. There's a lot of inaccuracies or dramatization, kind of like what we talked about, the dissociative identity disorder. The detective characters obviously are fictional, and then the timeline considered is a lot more condensed, right? Like he was already in prison, and years have gone by since the actual confession. So a lot of people, they describe the film by the critics like Roger Ebert as essentially a work of fiction based on real events, despite strong production values. Many commentators noted that it is prioritized sensationalism over fidelity to actual timelines and personalities. So
that's fair. It makes it entertaining.
Yeah, of course. And that's what Hollywood is going to do. I mean, for every single movie, like even now, today, you get a lot more like based on true events. Or like, or
inspired by
inspired by a true event.
Less.
Like there's so many things of what those words mean. I will admit, if we separate these two, this is a really good movie. Like editing wise, acting wise,
so good.
Right? Like my only complaint was the pacing of it, but like it's intense and it feels like icky a little bit too.
Grimy.
Yeah, like there's those couple of scenes where you're like, oh man, and then there's the intensity too, where it's again. Back in the 60s, they're not going to show a lot of things. However, I do think that this movie showed a lot compared to like Psycho. It
shows quite a bit.
Like there's nudity in it. There is like a lot of aggressive like
gore
force. Yeah, gore-ish. But at the beginning, I was like, I was really interested in how they were depicting the murders or like the bodies being found, because there was a lot of people's reactions to it instead of like just seeing an actual murder happen. So I thought that was a really cool, like, different way of doing things, especially to what we have now.
Yeah, and I was gonna say too, like, the implication of what you're not seeing is, again, like we've said this in several movies that we've covered, but where like it's implied violence or implied essay or something is almost worse than seeing it sometimes. And this movie really leans into that for the most part up until like maybe the end,
right?
And some of it's pretty disturbing. Like, you're just hearing them talk about like the details of something, and I'm like, oh, that's horrible. And it isn't too far off from the details of the actual case as far as like some of the killings go.
And
wild.
I guess it kind of leans it to believe, like, especially now with what we get with A24, it's just like we
shows you everything.
It just it's like gore porn, right? Like, we see all this like disgusting type of like how gross can they make you like feel and whatnot. But back in this time, this was like the
this was
worst that
extreme.
It gets. You're like, I mean, even that one scene where he puts his hand over the girl's mouth and then just like rips her shirt open, I was like, oh, and like I had to look away because it just feels so really it feels icky. So I think I would love to see movies get back to a place where we can meet in the middle like this, because I think this is creative storytelling and visual telling compared to just showing everything, not really leaving everything up to mystery. And now it's just become more of like, let's see how
just
gross
how much shock can we get.
Exactly. It's like a shock and awe. Did we make them leave the theater? Like, right, that's the biggest thing that's been happening since like Paranormal Activity.
It's The House That Jack Built. I don't know if you've seen that film.
I don't think so.
Disgusting movie, right?
Okay. And
it just shows you everything. Like, it doesn't leave anything to the imagination at all.
And
so it's like, of course people are gonna not want to watch that.
I think you and I are pretty firm believers in like, leave the audience like that. Their mind is the biggest weapon that you can play into. Like, whatever. Like, right. That's why so many horror movies, when you don't actually see the like monster, it's like couldn't be even scarier. That's the movie that you want to talk about because you're like, what? It's still a mystery. So,
and that's why some of those movies hold up. Like the original, for me, some of the original like Universal horror films, like Frankenstein. It's a different vibe than this film, but that like holds up for me. So it's like, sometimes maybe not showing will give your movie some longevity as well.
Especially like even Cloverfield. Like, I think Cloverfield was the biggest one that was they had so much success because you didn't know what this monster was. It like wasn't a Godzilla monster. I mean, now they've kind of like beat that dead horse, but
well, even like the second Cloverfield film does the same thing. Where it's like it's showing you other stuff. They don't show you all the other stuff.
Yeah. So, and I think those movies are a wild success. Okay. Anything that you have thoughts on, or any other further research that you did that you want to bring in?
No, I mean, I think this movie, if you haven't seen it, was not on my radar at all. Is an excellent movie. I think the 60s has a lot to offer as a decade of film. And this is one of the ones that, if I'd known about it, I'd probably be talking about it a lot. Because I just think the way it's stylized is so cool. And even the end, you have this, like, pretentious title card. Not even title card, but, like, informative text that comes up on the screen. Like, you can stop violent crimes. Like, I ate that up. Like, my jaw dropped. And I was like, Alyssa, my wife, I was like, you got to read this. And she's like, that's ridiculous. Why are you so hyped about just text on screen? I'm like, this is so cool. It's dumb, but I think it's cool. And this movie has a lot of style. And the real case is really interesting, too. Just on that same note, like, he at least committed one of the murders. But the scary part is there could be, 12 other guys out there or women out there doing the same killing. That's scary. And a little frightening to think about. I'd much rather he have done all the killings.
Than just a bunch of people just murdering women for no reason.
Doing it the same way.
Well,
and that's the other thing that's... Go ahead.
I was going to go somewhere else. Go.
I was going to say the other thing that's interesting in the film, I'm assuming this happened in real life too. They're investigating like all these little seedy, gross men throughout Boston, and they're finding out like dudes staring at women's feet in the movie theater. Like, what the heck, man?
Yeah.
Like, there's so many like weirdos out there you got to watch out for. So I think this movie shows a lot of that, and that for sure is probably going on. So
Yeah.
creepy.
Anyway, all right,
Glad
guys.
I'm a dude, baby.
That is crazy. Anyway, guys, so that's going to do it for the Boston Strangler. That is our second installment of Real versus Real. We have another one that is on Psycho, and we look to continue to do more of these. We kind of wanted to kickstart it with something like that's gruesome and gritty, but we will move eventually to different films. But obviously,
I have an idea for the next one.
Oh, okay.
I'm very excited for.
Okay, yeah,
I'm
the
not
next
gonna
one
say
is
anything,
yours.
but
So.
Watch the skies, ladies and gentlemen. That's my hint.
Ooh, okay, all right. The mystery within the Clean Slate.
Figure it out.
Anyway, guys, so if you haven't yet, go follow us on all of our socials. We're on TikTok, Instagram, on YouTube. Go like, subscribe, share, comment. And if you're listening to this on a podcast, go give us 5 stars.
Ooh.
Please leave a comment. Share it with your friends, your family, your coworkers. That would help us out so much. Guys,
Send it to grandma.
and I have been playing around with a lot more on social. I've been doing a lot more social work, so I promise you we will get you clips on our channels and grow this audience. But, yeah, guys, what are we doing next month, by the way? Is it...
What is next month?
I don't even know.
Is it August?
Yeah.
Ew, what's in August?
Gross
theme?
things. Because I know September
Dumb
we're doing
movies.
summer movies.
Are we in September? Should we just do them in August?
Well, then what are we doing for
Isn't it like back to school in August already?
Oh, wait. No, we're doing Mystery August.
Ooh.
So we're doing Clue, Watcher, Mystic River, Anatomy of the Fall, and Is It True? And then summer movies in September.
Let's talk about that maybe.
Yeah, we'll run through that again. But then that's the end of our season, bro. We're going to be on our 4th season.
Yeah, get hyped for October. We have some stuff.
Is it our 3rd or 4th season?
I don't even know anymore. I think it's
Yeah.
our 3rd. No, it might be the 4th.
I think it's the 4th.
Dang, dude, if we make it to 5, we got to do something big.
Yeah, we will. All right, guys. Well,
Start an OnlyFans.
we will. So dumb. All right, guys.
No one watched this far, and it's fine.
All right, thank you so much for
Just end it,
watching.
end it.
If you did, and we will see you next time. Peace.
Peace. That's a clean slate.